Yo, what is going on, guys? Got a video here today. Men are no longer attending singles events and women are going through a loneliness epidemic, apparently. So let's jump into it. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments.
So I went speed dating for the second time. I've come to the conclusion that like all the attractive men that I would be interested in are on the dating apps.
Okay, so I recently went to a singles event and it was 90% women.
Seems like I'm not the only one that is like sick of dating apps and wants to try different events to meet.
Single events has become the new way for women to find a man since they aren't getting approached.
There's nothing worse than when you're in a bar and there's a guy that he never asks to buy you a drink.
My hypothesis going into advertising this speed dating event was that more men would want to do the speed dating.
Sorry to disappoint you, madam, but men are no longer paying to get rejected at these events. Kindly subscribe to the channel, as it is our sole form of support. Thank you.
Ladies, it's May, and once again, I have to ask you the question, okay? If a man is not f***ing obsessed with you, what is attractive about that man? I can't like you. What do you mean you're not obsessed with me? I'm immediately disgusted. Immediately don't want it, immediately off it.
Yeah, speaking of immediately disgusted, I think a lot of men are immediately disgusted by women like this who make videos like this over on TikTok, guys. Have you ever noticed that women go through immense amounts of emotional anguish if dudes just aren't obsessed with them? You know, dudes are not buying me drinks. Oh no, it's the end of the world. Oh no, it's the end of the world. This guy isn't obsessed with me. It's completely ridiculous.
Convince you to like me? Convince the f***? Immediately not happening.
Okay, here's the outfit for speed dating tonight. I got a little dress going and then these little shoes like sandals. It's indoors, but I brought a jean jacket to kind of like play down the outfit a little bit, but this is it. So am I expecting to meet my husband tonight? No. Is it going to be a fun Monday night thing to do and like get me comfortable talking to guys again since I've been on a first date in forever? Yes.
Of course, this woman has a cat, by the way. I don't know if you guys could see that, but there was a cat in the background here. I don't know what the hell is going on, man, but so many women these days are so desperate, right? This woman is quite literally here making a video on TikTok. Again, why the hell this woman has TikTok at this age, I have no idea. But she's sitting here making a video about what she's wearing to a speed dating event. Like, holy hell, guys.
Speed dating was fun. Once I got there, I started looking around, trying to figure out where all the men are. Because when I first got there, 3 men were there. So there were a total of 8 men at the speed dating event. With guess how many women? How many women were in attendance? I'm going to go with a good 35, 40 women were in attendance. Now, by the time we got to the speed dating part, a few women left. They was like, it's not giving what I thought it was going to give, and that's fine. But I did stay, okay?
Basically, the ratio of women didn't add up to the ratio of men. Only 3 men attended that single event, while there were over 35 women.
Yeah, I don't understand, man. Like, why would dudes even go to these events in the first place? You already know that women are at these events. The reason why women are at these events is because they've completely failed at dating, guys. I've said this many times on the channel, but by the time a woman has to actively place herself in environments such as speed dating or get multiple like dating apps and things like this because she can't find a man, it's already doomed, guys. You already know that the majority of guys who go to these things are going to be completely rejected. The women who go to these things are going to be awful and undateable, and they're going to be going there chasing the top percentage of men. That's all that it really is. It's the exact same thing as these dating applications, man. The average man completely ignored, and women only go after the top percentage of dudes. And, you know, these singles events are that, but one step further, because it's pretty much all these older women who still haven't found a man after all of these years.
I don't even blame the men for not showing up to these things. You have to understand, when these women go to these events, they're not there to build genuine connections or to meet people halfway. They're looking for their Prince Charming. Someone who's willing to swoop in, save them, and fulfill all their fantasies. And keep in mind, these women still have their insane expectations. The funny part is that most of the women started to leave when they realized the type of man they were looking for wasn't there. From the men's perspective, events like this are a waste of time. Why bother showing up when the odds are stacked against you, not just in numbers, but in terms of expectations? These men are being judged not for who they are, but for how closely they align with a fantasy. And when they inevitably don't measure up, they're dismissed without a second thought.
There's nothing worse than when you're in a bar and there's a guy just staring at you every time you look in his direction, but he never asks to buy you a drink. Like, great, now I feel super uncomfortable and I don't even have a free drink for my troubles.
Shut up, bitch! Okay, so I recently went to a singles event and it was 90% women. And I was wondering, like, where's all the dudes? I don't know. But they're not there. And that's cool, not like I care.
Have you guys tried the forest? The bears are there. Men gave up on dating. Once you're told you're worthless and replaceable long enough, you learn to avoid what tells you that.
It's crazy to me, man, how like these women are expecting dudes just to straight up buy them drinks. You know, simply for existing and sitting there. And then if the men don't do that, then she gets angry, you know? Like, doesn't that tell you everything that you need to know? If you don't provide them with something, then they just get pissed off at you. What's the point of even being there in the first place? And this is why, you know, women will often go out there, they will try and date, and they won't be able to get commitment from a dude. Because the funny thing is, even the dudes who are at the top in terms of dating that all of the women are chasing, these guys realize as well that the women are just not worth it. A lot of the times, you know, like, why would these guys even have a relationship with these women in the first place? They've hooked up with a whole bunch of different dudes. Their entitlement is through the roof, and you're expected to provide and care for them. You essentially get nothing in return for doing it as well.
We only invest in ourselves now, unfortunately. At home, work, or the gym, working to better themselves, knowing a relationship isn't worth it in this society. We checked out. Modern women can date each other and will go overseas. This is the result of pushing men away. Even when these women are actively targeting men for these events, the men still aren't willing to go. The reason why women are having trouble finding men at single events is that some men have already experienced what it's like to attend these gatherings in the first place. They know it's a waste of their time. Most of the time, the women who show up to these events are rude, shallow, and dismissive, making it an unappealing experience for any man who genuinely wants to connect. Men aren't interested in walking into a situation where they're automatically set up to fail. Many of these women bring high expectations, but offer little in return. They'll judge a man based on his appearance, career, or the type of car he drives without taking the time to actually understand who he is. For men, these events feel less like an opportunity to meet someone and more like a competition where they're being scrutinized for things that often don't even matter in the long run.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to a job interview that you don't even want to get the position for, you know? Like, the level of entitlement is just absolutely insane. The women who go to these things, guys, I guarantee you, are incredibly damaged. The reason why they're there is because they're desperate and they haven't found that, you know, that Chad who's going to settle down and be willing to commit to her and her crazy nonsense.
Actually, really fun. The guys were not what I typically go for, but they were all pretty nice and seemed normal. And one of them called me a ray of sunshine, and I was like, well, that's adorable. But I felt like really good. I felt like heard, and I felt like I could be myself, and I asked a lot of questions, I thought. And I was like, oh, I'm going to walk away with a lot of matches. And for me, I can tell you right now, I don't think there was any real romantic feeling for me for any of them. I wasn't interested, but I always give people a second chance. And I had 0 matches today.
Yeah, so check this out, right? The dudes that she normally chases, these aren't like the normal men that she chases. because these guys were nice and they were normal. This tells you everything you need to know, guys. What they're doing is they're chasing the highly attractive men who are typically not nice and have no reason to be nice to these women. And the moment you present them with a nice, normal guy, they completely ignore him. They don't like him. They're not attracted to him. They don't have any romantic feelings for him. They would rather go out there and chase the dude who's a complete a-hole, who's highly attractive. And to that, I say, guys, let them become single 35-year-old cat ladies. It's funny. You know, they start collecting these poor creatures that wander around their home, and that can be their children instead of actual children. It's no skin off my back, guys. I find it incredibly funny. But yeah, the reason why they're there is because they're looking for that Chad who's going to commit to them. Now, these dudes who are nice and normal, of course she'll never be attracted to them. She'll continue to use them for free attention, free validation, you know, soak up the compliments, but she'll never be attracted to those guys. Those dudes will be the type of dudes that she will marry when she's 30 years of age and she's trying to secure a retirement plan.
Dang, it is hard out here. On to the next one, I guess.
I'd like to maybe give a different perspective on this statistic that we're always hearing that women only swipe on 20% of the men on the dating apps and in real life, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, women are pickier, and yes, we swipe on way fewer men than men do on women. But I don't think it's the same 20% of men. If we were all swiping on...
You're right. It's actually more like the top 5%. As you get into the upper echelons of these dudes who are on these dating applications, it actually gets severely more skewed to the point where a very, very small fraction of dudes on these apps are getting attention from all of the women. You guys, make no mistake, this woman does not seem to understand this. You women are all dating the same group of men. That's why he's cheating on you. Well, they're not even cheating on you. These women don't have relationships with these dudes. This is why these guys are seeing like 5 different women at the same time. But you think this is just coincidence? No, you're all chasing the same group of dudes. Last I heard, guys, it's not actually 20%. It's actually a far narrower statistic than this that the women are actually swiping on and they're actually interested in.
But I don't think it's the same 20% of men. If we were all swiping on men on these dating apps, all of us would swipe on completely different men. So yes, we might be swiping on only 20% of men, but it's not always the same type of men. So the statistic that's out that women only want the 6 foot, 6-inch, 6-figure guy is completely not true, at least when it comes to myself and my friend group, because
yes, guys, the classic, I'm an exception to the rule, so therefore the rule doesn't apply at all. If I had $1 for every single time people think that generalizations are not true because their specific situation is different, particularly women, I would have a lot of dollars, guys. Just because you and your small group of girlfriends are not swiping on the same dudes doesn't mean that in general this is not what's happening an overwhelming majority of the time. And just by the way, like, are you guys comparing and doing the math yourselves? I don't really think so. I genuinely don't think that this individual is sitting down here and, you know, tying the profiles together every single time that her and her group of friends are using these apps. I don't really trust her to measure the stats in her little friend group, is number one. And number two, let's just say hypothetically your friend group had no overlap at all whatsoever. That's nice. You're one of, like, you know, millions of people who use these applications. But yeah, please tell me more about how women are not swiping on the same top percentage of men like they clearly are.
That's what works for us. When we go out, none of us are all vying for the same guy. We all like completely different men. So, you know, yeah, maybe it's 20% of men, but everyone's got a chance because everyone's preferences and attractions are different.
But the bottom line is, women are swiping on only 20% of the men. That's just the reality. These women are all competing for the same exact type of guys. The tall, attractive, high-earning men who are considered the top tier. If that wasn't the case, we wouldn't see the extreme imbalance in dating apps, singles events, or even general relationship dynamics. This narrow focus is why so many women are struggling to find partners. They're chasing the same small pool of men who, frankly, have the upper hand in the dating market. These men have so many options that they aren't rushing to settle down. Why would they?
Also, by the way, why the hell is this woman, you know, hitting up the clubs and the nightlife and partying with her friends? Like, she looks to be in her late 40s, probably 50s. Like, this is crazy to me, man. She's sitting here comparing her types in men to her friends in her friend group, and this woman should damn well nearly have grandchildren by this point. Like, what are we talking about here, guys? Oh, we actually have different tastes in men. You know, when we go out there drinking, actually the statistics work this way. I wouldn't trust this person with a $20 note, let alone statistics and generalizations, guys. Like, you cannot trust these individuals to actually make good life decisions and represent data correctly. It's not going to happen. These are the types of people, guys, that if their life experience is different to a generalization, then they will try and argue that the generalization isn't true whatsoever. You know, oh, divorce isn't something that favors women because I got screwed over in my divorce. It's like, okay, Becky, that's nice, but still, in general, dudes are getting screwed over in their divorces. They always think that they're like the exception to the rule.
If every woman is vying for their attention, they can afford to be selective or even avoid commitment altogether.
If you're single, you live in Chicago, and you don't have plans this Thursday, watch this video. My name's Ashley Coates, and I throw singles events almost every Thursday around Chicago. And this week, we're going to be in River North at 7:30. It's our first ever rooftop event. It's going to be like 90 degrees, and we're going to have over 100 singles ready to mingle.
Oh, just by the way, guys, I think dudes actually, I think you have to pay to attend these things, by the way. So not only is it a complete waste of time, and you're going to get rejected by entitled women, especially if you're an average dude. On top of that, on top of completely wasting your time and being disrespected, you also have to pay money to attend these things, as far as I understand it. Like, these women, there are literally women who host these events and they treat it like a business. So you're essentially being scammed. Like, let's just call it for what it is. It's obvious why dudes don't attend these things. It's a complete scam. It's a complete waste of time.
I'm hosting my first in-person speed dating event in early February, and my hypothesis going into advertising this speed dating event was that more men would want to do the speed dating than women. Why did I think that? I thought that because online dating for men is kind of like one of those 80-20 things. 20% of the men get 80% of the matches, and vice versa. So like 80% of the men get 20% of the matches. It's pretty lopsided for online dating, whether it's just like guys not being up to women's standards or not knowing how to like sufficiently build an online profile or how to flirt with people online. Like, it's all a skill, right?
Yeah, guys, it's all a skill, you know, and I can agree to some extent, you know, having a correct profile and things like this. But at the end of the day, I would argue it's a lot more just genetic looks than skill. Oh man, you have to learn game and you have to learn how to talk to women. The women aren't even going to talk to you if you're not attractive enough. The average guy gets on these dating applications, he gets no matches whatsoever. The matches he does get will be blunt and ignore him and things like this. And if your line of reasoning here is like, man, you just need to learn how to text women, it's complete nonsense, guys. Complete nonsense. You can't even get into a conversation with a woman these days oftentimes because their entitlement and what they think that they deserve is through the roof, guys. I would also argue that this 80-20 statistic, it's more like 95-5. The top 5% of dudes are getting all of the attention from women. But, you know.
But I thought, my impression was, my hypothesis going into this was that there would be more men interested in speed dating than women. And it turns out that that's very not true. I've only had one man submit an online like interest form, and I've had like 25 women. It's a very small speed dating event, so I can only have 8 women and 8 men. But now I'm like, oh my God, is this the Bachelor? Are we doing the Bachelor? Do I need to change things here? I'm a little thrown off. Why? Why is this happening? If you have any insight into this, let me know.
The second a man shows up, he's already lost. No point. 90% of women going on speed dates will just be selectively looking for superficial qualities, just like Tinder. So 8 women can tell the guy he's too short or doesn't make enough money. I can't speak for neurotypicals, but the idea of a high-pressure, sell-yourself-quickly kinda dynamic feels like a miserable experience.
Why the hell is this person saying neurotypicals? Like, I don't understand this, man. I can't speak for neurotypicals. All right.
This seems pretty common. Seen it on here where only women show up, and locally where they are always looking for men. For any speed dating event, the ratio will always be off between men and women. There are simply more women looking to settle down after they've spent years playing the field. And a singles event seems like the perfect place for them to try to find someone willing to take on the role of provider. Essentially, the sucker they believe will save them from their past choices. These events aren't about building real connections for many of these women. They're about finding someone who can check off their list of financial and social expectations. The way speed dating is set up today feels like men walking into a group full of red flags. Many of the women attending come with unrealistic expectations, emotional baggage, and a sense of entitlement. They aren't necessarily looking for an equal partner. Instead, they're hunting for someone who can meet their demands without questioning what they bring to the table. Their goal isn't mutual growth. It's finding someone who can improve their lifestyle or provide them with security, regardless of compatibility.
Yeah, I always hear this talk, by the way, about like, oh, we just need to grow together and all of this stuff. And usually what it means is they just want the dude to grow his money so that she can continue to have access to more money. You see what I'm saying? Like 35-year-old women sitting here about how they're looking for a growth in a relationship or they're looking for connection. They're usually just looking for connection to the dude's wallet. They don't actually give a damn about the dude. If they were looking for love, if they were looking for something serious, if they were looking for an actual relationship, they could have found it over a decade ago before attending these singles events.
Come with us to a Thursday event. Pep talk before we leave. No attractive men found. Maybe next time.
Hear me out. Maybe it's just me. I really don't think it is, but we'll just say it is. Every time I download a dating app, I immediately fucking regret it. I've been a good person. I've been doing good things. And this is what I get from my matches. I'm a confident person, but every time I go on there, I'm extremely humbled. What the actual fuck?
Okay, this one might piss off some men.
Yeah, guys, I can't imagine why this woman is possibly single. Number one, 2 seconds into the video, I'm already annoyed. I don't even know this woman. She's very difficult to listen to. Seems like she's a nurse here, perhaps. Bit of a red flag there. But here's what's happening, guys. You know, the women are going out there, they're downloading these dating applications, they're shooting for the top percentage of men, they're completely failing. The dudes will just hook up with them and not have a relationship. And then the women feel scammed, and then they uninstall it, and then they go back and they do the exact same thing again. Until they get to like 30 plus years of age, and they're sitting there blaming all men, saying that men are trash for the decisions that they made. Again, guys, nobody is forcing these women to hook up with these dudes on these dating applications. They are voluntarily choosing to do it. As much as they sit there and claim like, oh, I've been manipulated, or the dude was lying to me. Everybody knew that the men were not interested in committing to you, and you still chase these top percentage of dudes anyway. And yet the rest of men are supposed to pay for it. We're supposed to wipe you up when you're 30. It's not happening.
What the actual fuck?
Okay, this one might piss off some men. Don't care. Come for me. I genuinely want to know, like, what are you referring to when you ask a woman, what do you bring to the table? Because, like, what do you need from us? What are you looking for? It just seems like such a weak man mentality thing to ask a woman what she brings to the table.
And there it is, right? I was hoping for a second there that she might actually have a genuine interest in what men might be interested in, but they never are, guys. You know, apparently if you ask a woman what she brings to the relationship or the table, then apparently you're just an awful, evil man. Again, guys, remember, men cannot have standards or things that they're interested in because apparently that's bad. Women can be, you know, they can have all of their different entitlements and standards and things that they won't tolerate. But if you as a man have any of these sorts of things, then obviously it's a problem. I found it very suspicious at the beginning when she's sitting here and she's asking men genuinely for a second there, but then of course she goes right into the shaming language. It's funny to me, guys, how the women who are like 30, 35, etc., these are the women who you would think would actually need to care the most about what men want, but they never think about it. You know, it's time, it really is time to try and get into a relationship, get into a marriage. Perhaps you should, I don't know, consider what dudes are looking for when they're looking for these things. But nope, the arrogance just continues, doesn't it?
It just seems like such a weak man mentality thing to ask a woman what she brings to the table. I'm not a waitress, okay, first of all. And second of all, let's just be honest. There is nothing that a man can do for me that I can't do for myself.
Okay, stay single and childless then. Not my problem. Don't get married. Who gives a damn? I don't need no man. And then you wonder why you're single. I don't need no man. How dare you ask me what I bring to the relationship? Get the hell out of here. No wonder dudes aren't dating me.
Like, I can make my own money and I can pay my own bills and I can
she's a single mother.
Raise my own kids. I can buy myself flowers. You know, I can pleasure myself and hit the spot every single freaking time. So, like, I just want to know what men mean when they say, what do you bring to the table? Like, well, what do you bring to the table? What are you doing for me? How are you making my life better?
All men want is peace, love, and support. They essentially want to be loved for who they are rather than what they can provide. And here's the problem. All of the things that you just listed that you don't need from a man that you can do yourself, they're all things that are outside of just loving him for who he is as a person, right? You're talking about all things that he would physically provide to you. He doesn't want those things to be the sole reason why you're in a relationship with him. And so he doesn't expect those items to be provided by you. He cares about what you can provide emotionally. Are you going to be his peace? Are you going to provide him love? Are you going to mentally, emotionally support him?
Well, this...
Of course they're not. So this woman right here is a single mother, guys. She doesn't need no man. She can do everything herself. And I see no problem with this video. I think it's fantastic. I think she should continue to make videos like this because I think it serves as a warning sign to men for what they shouldn't date or be involved with. This exact behavior, by the way, is why dudes go overseas. You know, they go overseas quite literally to avoid women like this.
This doesn't make sense, madam. If you can pleasure yourself and do all the things that men can do, then why bother trying to look for them? If you don't think a man can bring you any type of value, then there's no point in a man wasting his time trying to get with you. The fact that she asks, "What can you bring to the table?" is proof she's never been in a healthy relationship where she would have experienced what a man truly brings to the table. She's got this "I don't need a man" attitude, and frankly, no man wants that. It's not about needing someone, but about building something together. Once again, to be clear, men are very simple creatures when it comes to relationships. At the top of their priorities are peace and respect. A man is more likely to be attracted to a woman who brings calm and understanding into his life than someone who's constantly demanding or dismissive. When a woman approaches dating with the mindset that she doesn't need a man, it shows a lack of understanding of the dynamics of a healthy, balanced relationship.
Why a lot of successful women are still single? It is because a lot of men do not have any other thing to offer a woman apart from money. So when you make money as a woman, they get intimidated.
Are you stupid?
Right, we need to make this happen. Seems like I'm not the only one that is like sick of dating apps and wants to try different events to meet people. My life has been super chaotic lately. I ended up going to Coachella last minute and then just like some other work things came up. So I want to make more of an effort to go to some of these events and try to get like a group of girls to go so we're not like by ourselves. Because yeah, like these events seem really fun, but it can be like intimidating to just like walk up to a singles event as a female by yourself. So let's try to get like a group going.
Where do I find men to have 2 dates a week? So I'm using free dating apps, Bumble, Hinge and Raya, and I guess I spend on them approximately from 30 minutes to 60 minutes each day. Of course, you need to invest your time. Earlier, I preferred to chat for many days before going to any kind of date with the guy, but now I guess it depends. I'm fine to agree for a date pretty soon. Like, I try to be flexible about it. So do my men know I actually date other men? That's a question I've been recently asked by my friend when I was telling her about my dating life, that today I'm meeting this guy and tomorrow I'm meeting that guy. And in my opinion, until it's settled, until you actually decided that you're together and you're like exclusive and you talked about that, you're free.
It's pretty.
Man, there are so many red flags in this video. I don't even know where to start. Number one, this looks like, how crazy is this, by the way? So this is the same woman, I think, and they just look like completely different individuals here. You know, she's got like that face full of makeup on. She looks like a completely different individual. But I always love when women bring up this point. They're like, well, you know, I see a whole bunch of different dudes at the same time because I'm prospecting men. You know, I'm just out there dating. I'm looking for dudes. I'm looking for that Prince Charming. But here's the thing. If you're a woman and you're dating a whole bunch of dudes at once, you know, and your logic is like, well, I'm not in a relationship, so I can do it. What's going to happen is dudes are going to reject you because they don't want to have a serious relationship with a woman who's seeing a whole bunch of dudes. They're just, any dude with self-respect is going to be completely repulsed by that. You know, you make your decision, you stick with it, right? But these women want to go out on like 5 different dates, and make no mistake about it, they're not being celibate. So while you're sitting there taking her out to dinner dates, roses, and potentially having a relationship with this woman, she's out there hooking up with different dudes. Like, no thank you. The dudes are just going to opt out. This is why women get treated as bedroom fun options only, is because they do crap like this. But guys, we're going to be leaving today's episode there. Why do you guys think that men are no longer attending singles events? And what do you think about this loneliness epidemic that that women are experiencing? We're going to be leaving it there. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one. Peace.